My name is Taddesa. I am engineering geologist. Geohazads like landslide, air pollution, soil degradation, water pollution are becoming a major threat for our parks, plus for the whole environment, especially in Ethiopia. For example, we have visited Bale Mountains National Park with the UNESCO group. Bale Mountains National Park is a home for many indigenous plants and animals. As we have observed, it has faced a lot of human-made, human-caused geohazards like overgrazing, air pollution, soil degradation due to settlement inside the park. We have suggested some ideas for the respected offices. We hope you will also understand some of the problems and even the resources that the park contain inside it.
UNESCO is partnering with the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, as well as the Faculty of Geology from the Addis Ababa University, as well as the filmmaking team of Aziz Ahmed in Ethiopia, to produce an African environmental film series. The environmental issues in the world and in Africa are real. They are centered on biodiversity, on climate change issues, on the water, on the involvement of the youth, the involvement of the women, and many other subjects. And we have decided to develop an African environmental film series. The first series is dealing with the geohazards in Ethiopia. The geological hazards will include very widespread important subjects such as soil erosion. We have massive soil erosion here, in particular around the Lake Tana, where we have about more than 30 tons per hectare per year being flushed into the Lake Tana. And the Lake Tana is quite a shallow lake, so it is silting up. Maybe after a few decades the Lake Tana will not exist anymore. Maybe the lake will convert into marshlands. Other subjects that are related to human health are in the urban environments, in the city of Addis Ababa, in Bahir Dar, in Redwa, in Hara, in Jimma, in so many larger cities in Ethiopia. We have massive dust pollution. Personally, I believe that this is very much linked to the construction boom. The dust are fine geological particles, and it is widespread, it is visible, and of course people are inhaling that dust. People get the dust into their eyes, and this of course is related to human health, to allergies, to asthma, and to other respiratory diseases. The film will also feature tectonic issues, volcanic issues, landslide issues, the siltation of surface waters, not only lakes like the Lake Tana that I mentioned before. There's other lakes which are affected by siltation, and as a matter of fact, the rivers are highly loaded with sediments to the degree that the Blue Nile, which was called Blue Nile for a reason, can be called Brown Nile, because throughout the year it is brown, it is not blue. It is so packed full with sediments that the photic zone, which is the zone for light penetration, is so narrow that light doesn't penetrate anymore for the growth of phanerogams or algae. So the whole primary productivity of these surface water ecosystems has changed. We are also featuring in the film solutions for the geological issues. We also want to feature the beauty of this misunderstood, misrepresented country, Ethiopia, which is very rich in cultural heritage and in natural heritage, and it is extremely rich in geological features and geological heritage. We have 9 mountains towering over 4,000 meters above sea level. The country is blessed with good climatic conditions, with good rainfall patterns, with good soils, with high agricultural productivity. Ethiopia takes care of reforestation programs with good success. UNESCO and other UN agencies want to assist the Ethiopian authorities with this. This is of course also related to soil erosion. And the country has also a gigantic capacity for geological tourism. A book has been published by Professor Asfar Wasson from University of Addis Ababa on the subject of geotourism. And we want to assist the country and the people of the country to rectify the image of this beautiful country as a prime tourism destination. Ethiopia has established the Tourism Transformation Council recently, so it is trying to develop tourism as a prime industry. Our film series will also help there to rectify the image of Ethiopia, to feature the beauty, not only to address issues and solutions, but we also want to show and to highlight and to underline and to make available the knowledge how beautiful this country is, how valuable it is for tourists. It is not very far away from tourists that could come from the Middle East or from Europe or from elsewhere. And we are already planning the second film in our African environmental film series, which is a film on the biodiversity around Lake Tana, which is of course the source of the Nile.
The present-day physiography of Ethiopia is determined by 2 tectonic phenomena: the uplift of the Arabo-Ethiopian swell and its subsequent dissection by the rift system. At the end of Precambrian times, uplift occurred, which was followed by a long period of erosion. Any sediments which were deposited some 375 million years ago have been largely removed by erosion. This process, combined with the rifting associated with the development of the Red Sea and the East African Ethiopian Rift Valley, has resulted in considerable fracturing and shattering. This area is considered a present-day example of continental rifting, leading to seafloor spreading and producing an oceanic basin. As a result, the rift system in Ethiopia has divided the uplifted swell into two separate units: the Ethiopian Plateau in the west and the Somali Plateau to the east. Faulting was accompanied by a widespread volcanic activity, and the two processes, which are partly related, have largely determined the form of the landscape in the western half of Ethiopia and in the Afar Depression. Volcanism has persisted to the present time in the Afar region, within small eruptive centers. The uplift caused by the Ethiopian dome resulted in a massive faulting area of 1,000 meters in the Afar region. As a result of four geologic events, namely the uplifting formation of shield volcano, glaciation, erosion, and rifting, have given unique geology, geomorphology, and landscape for the country, which has a scientific importance to be studied and explored, and which needs attention besides the tourism industry. In addition, these processes have made the country more susceptible to various kinds of geohazards, leading to life and property loss. The hazards are earthquake, landslides, erosion and land degradation, volcanic activity and related hazards, ground fissures and cracks, land collapse and subsidence. The Bale Mountains were formed prior to the formation of the Rift Valley, from lava outpourings, which covered all underlying rock formations between 38 and 7 million years ago. It contains a spectacularly diverse landscape. The high-altitude Sanneti Plateau rises to over 4,000 meters and includes the highest peak in southern Ethiopia and the second peak next to Mount Ras Dashen of northern Ethiopia. This undulating plateau is marked by numerous glacial lakes and swamps and surrounded by higher volcanic ridges and peaks. Nominated in 2009 to the World Heritage Tentative List, Bale Mountains National Park is a national park in Ethiopia with one of the highest incidences of animal endemicity of any terrestrial habitat in the world. Daytime temperatures are usually around 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, with strong winds. Average daytime temperatures are around 20 degrees Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and the Harena forest is around 25 degrees Celsius, 77 degrees Fahrenheit. However, weather changes frequently and sometimes drastically. In elevations over 3,000 meters, night frosts are common. The rainy season is from May until November. Habitats of the Bale Mountains National Park range from the grasslands area around 3,000 meters above sea level to the second highest point in Ethiopia, Tulu Dumtu, at 4,377 meters above sea level. Juniper trees, waist-high wildflowers, and grasses sprout in the northern grasslands and woodlands. Bale Mountains National Park is home to 20 Ethiopian endemic mammals, as well as 5 mammals that are only found in the Bale Mountains. Mammals of paramount importance in Bale Mountains National Park include 1. The Ethiopian wolf, 2. The mountain nyala, 3. The big-headed mole rat, and 4. The Bale monkey. The Afro-Alpine area is home to over half of the global population of the Ethiopian wolf. The rarest in the world, there are just 400 remaining. Bale Mountains National Park is home to 1,321 species of flowering plants, 163 of which are endemic to Ethiopia and 23 to Bale alone. The forests of the Bale Mountains are important for genetic stocks of wild forest coffee, Coffea arabica, and for medicinal plants in Ethiopia. The Bale Mountains are home to over 282 species of birds, including 9 of the 16 species endemic to Ethiopia. Major threats. Habitat loss caused by unsustainable and rapidly expanding cattle and crop farming is the most severe underlying threat. As a result, diseases, rabies, and canine distemper transmitted from domestic dogs are a serious immediate threat and have recently caused population crashes of wolves in the Bale Mountains. The other biggest threat to the park is grazing. Increasing settlements within the park. Currently, over 40,000 people live within the park's boundaries, increasing pressure on the natural resources of the area and diminishing natural habitats of wild animals. If conservation efforts in the Bale Mountains are not successful and people continue to exploit the resources in an unsustainable way, more species of mammal would go extinct than in any other area of equivalent size on the Earth. Measures being undertaken. In general, progressive practices, both institutional and programmatic, are taking place at scale in order to tackle natural and human-made disasters that will put the environment into depletion. Among them, Sustainable Land Management Program, SLMP, in humid highlands, Productive Safety Net Programs, PSNP, in arid areas, the Wereda Disaster Risk Profiling Project, and the formation of Disaster Risk Management and Food Security Sector, DRMFSS, institution as an independent entity in dealing with natural and man-made hazards.
My name is Guy Levine. I'm a British investor and the owner of Bale Mountain Lodge in the Bale Mountains National Park. We believe that this is, frankly, an amazing and a unique national park that requires to be protected. And what we're trying to do is run an ethical, conservation-driven lodge to generate funds for the national parks and to try and protect the habitats and ecosystems of the Bale Mountains. The habitats here are vital for the generation of water for 12 to 15 million downstream users in the dry lands that are below the mountains here. If you protect the habitats, you protect the water for those people. But as a side effect, of course, you also protect the 14 endemic mammals that we have, endemic species of mammals, the 16 endemic species of birds, the numerous butterflies and moths that we're finding, new species all the time. And also you protect an amazing place for people to visit, to conduct outdoor pursuits and to raise tourism revenue for Ethiopia. It's a fabulous, fabulous park. There are a number of dangers that apply to the park, and a number of things that threaten the future of the park. And here in the Bale Mountains, the effect of man's grazing with livestock, grazing both on the plateau where they compact the soil, cut the grass short, here in the forest where cattle and livestock are allowed to come into the forest and graze the undergrowth from under the trees. All those have an effect on the way the water is stored and released slowly from the mountains. So the biggest threat to the park is man. That said, I know that UCA, the Ethiopian Wildlife and Conservation Authority, is working very hard to reduce the numbers of livestock in the park and to educate and to inform, and we are starting to see some positive movement. There are other threats. The problem of man again is that when man brings livestock into the park, they bring also dogs, and so the Ethiopian wolf, which there are only 550 left in the world, is highly threatened by canine distemper and by rabies. And also by crossbreeding with domestic dogs, you lose the genetic strength of the wolf, and so we really have to do something about the numbers of dogs that are in the park. But that goes hand in hand with the issue of livestock and getting man out of the park.